Hey everybody, it's Ethan for MA Network, and today we're going to be discussing one of the most fundamental parts of the MA, sequences. Now you may be asking, what is a sequence? Now the sequence within the MA is the MA's ability to store and then later recall any parameter values or any programmed values that you create. So without this, obviously no show would ever have been done on an MA. So now, how do you program a sequence? Well, firstly, if you've ever stored anything, you've likely programmed a sequence. The two main ways are storing straight to an executor. So if I press store and then whatever I want, it'll automatically create a sequence. That's what the number in the top right means. The other way would be to store it straight into the sequence pool. So to create this, we'd obviously have to create a sequence pool and a pool sequences. Just quickly store this, CQ, and there we go. Then you can say store and store it straight to the sequence. Now, in terms of assigning a sequence, you've got two options. Obviously, if you store it straight to the exec, it's going to auto assign it to the exec. But you can also press assign, hit the sequence, and then assign it. Once you've assigned it to an exec, there's further assigning options. So to get into the assign menu, you press assign again and tap on the exec. The other way is just to tap on the little black part, and that'll also get you into the assign menu. Now within the assign menu, once you go to function, it's going to allow you to change the function of each button in the fader. So this is, you can see this with the visualize, the fader looking thing, representing the two buttons above the fader itself, and the button below. And then with the button, you've obviously only got one option because there's only one button unless you create more width. And then as you change it, it will change the visual so you can assign buttons as needed. Now, there's many options for assigning, for the functions that they can have. So we're going to go over a couple, and the rest will be in a forum post that will be linked below. So let's hop right in. So firstly, go. Pretty self-explanatory. It's going to either go to the next queue in the queue list, or it'll go to the loaded queue. Go back, also pretty self-explanatory. It's going to go back in the sequence. Go to is pretty cool, and I'm going to have to go to this sequence to show it. If I press go to, it'll bring up an option of all the queues, and I can select exactly which one I want it to actually go to. Black, also pretty self-explanatory. All it's going to do is act kind of like a swap button and just temporarily switch off any intensity values stored within that sequence. Load, I'm also going to have to go to this one, pretty self-explanatory as well. It's going to load a queue, so once you tap it, you can select a queue to load. When you press go, it'll go straight to that queue. Off and on, which are here and here, they also pretty self-explanatory. Will either set the state of the executor to off or on, whichever one you want. Toggle allows you to switch the executor on off with one button, so you can switch it once to switch it on, switch it again, press it again to switch it off. Flash is quite often used, and the one important thing to remember with flash is it's going to ignore all timing, whether that timing is the exact time or if it's stored in the actual queues. It's going to ignore that. It's going to not respect any of that. It's just going to flash. And then suffix is the last one we'll be going over, and essentially all that does is it selects the fixtures that are stored within the queue. Once you've finished here, you can go to options, and this allows you to change the options for the sequence. So again, there's quite a lot, so we'll be going over a few of the more important ones, and we'll again have another forum post linked that will explain all of the other ones. So let's start over here. So auto start. All auto start means is that once you raise the fader above 0, it will start the sequence. So pretty self-explanatory. Auto stop the inverse, once the fader hits 0, it will switch off the sequence. Auto stop off time means if you have auto stop on and you bring it to 0, it will respect the sequence off time in terms of fading out. Auto fix means that if the sequence is running, it will fix that executor to all the pages, so it will act as if you're fixing it. Priority is how the MA handles when you have two different executors both trying to control one parameter. So generally it's set to LTP. LTP stands for latest takes priority. So this will mean whichever one was switched on afterwards will take priority and will be used. The different options you can play around with and figure out which ones you want to use. Low means anything will override at high, pretty self-explanatory. HTP stands for highest text priority. And then there's super, which is overrides the programmer, overrides everything. Nothing can switch this thing off. Soft LTP just means that when it's if it's enabled, when another executor overtakes the values or overtakes that executor, it won't switch off immediately, but it'll rather fade out. Wraparound, when it's active, and you hit the last queue in the queue list and you press go, it'll go back to the first queue. Tracking simply means, and tracking is actually a tutorial all on its own, but all tracking means is if you have a parameter value in the first queue and you don't change it again within any of the other queues, it will track through the queues. So it will never default back to 0 or its default value. It will stay at whatever you set it as unless you change it. Release first step means that if you go back from the last to the first queue, no values in the last queue will be tracked to the first queue. Speed normal just means it will allow you to change how it handles any fade times within the queue. Speed individual allows you to assign this to a speed fader. Rate individual, same as speed but with a rate master. And then link effect to rate means that if you have an effect assigned to the exec, and you then have it in a rate set, it'll change the effect speed to reflect the rate. Ignore exec time means that if you set an exec time, it's going to ignore it. Pretty self-explanatory. Off and overwritten simply means if there's another exec with the same priority, if this is on, the other exec is able to switch this exec off and therefore take over the queues. If this is off, it won't. And then we've got the MIB, not Men in Black, but Move in Black. Options. So MIB always defaults to move in black for every queue to early. MIB never disables move in black even if queue specific settings differ. Auto prepause means that all attributes except the dimmer will change without a fade time in the event of a move in black. That can be useful in things like theater and honestly even concerts and everything. That can always come in useful. Chaser. Now a chaser simply makes the queue list run as a chaser. I'm sure you know what a chaser is. It just goes through the queues. The issue is that it doesn't respect fade times, it doesn't respect delay times, it just goes. So it can come in very useful, but if you want to have the fade times and the delay times in to create like color delays and fancy fades and that kind of stuff, you're better off either manually pressing go or setting the options to follow. And yeah, that's about it for sequences. It's one of the most fundamental parts of and concepts of the MA2 software or hardware. So we hope this has helped you. If you have any questions, as always, you can put them in the comments, or now time for a shameless plug, you can go sign up our new forum and try and get the answer there if we don't respond in the comments. And yeah, as always, thanks for watching. If you want to see more tutorials like this, please subscribe. If you would like this video, please like it. If there's something wrong with it, tell us below. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you again. Cheers.